Hello guys, hope you are doing well, making the daily recap about London session. Um, Despite being bank holiday, we saw a lot of volume in the market, and yeah, it was very interesting price action this morning. I tried to take a sales opportunities, but I didn't manage to catch anything, especially on M1 was not very clean. So I decided to stay away and I don't force things. So on the daily time frame here, as you probably noticed on the photon analysis channel, I didn't use any type of demand when looking left because I'm letting market structure tell me which way price will go and what will happen next, instead of trying to pick which demand will hold, because it can be quite difficult and can also give me attachment to which POI will hold, and yeah, I think it's just not necessary. I think it's just better to let price action develops here and market structure will tell you if this is the point that price will pull back. Okay, so on the daily time frame, swing high, right, the same, swing low, and yeah, nothing more to add on the daily time frame. Here on the 4 hour, it can be a little bit more difficult, but still very interesting in my opinion. So here we have the swing high, right, swing low, and we had the 4 hour change of character, which in theory indicates that price will start the 4 hour complex pullback from this leg, right? So after this change of character, in theory, we'll start the complex pullback, okay? But we also need to forecast what can happen, and here, especially using lower time frames such as M15, I'm also aware that because M15 order flow is still bearish at the moment, this change of character sometimes can also be used as sweep. This can be a sweep of this external range liquidity, right? Sweep of this high, the mitigation of something here on the left that we can see on low time frames. And if M15 bearish order flow will continue, this have all the possibilities to keep moving down, and this be just a fake shock. So what I mean by this is, yes, I'm still looking to take loans, but I'm also open to the possibilities that if M15 order flow still bearish and still holds, the bearish order flow still holding, I will not assume that the high will get run, and I will just trade that order flow, because I know that this can also be a sweep of external range liquidity and mitigate something on the left. So I'm open for both situations, and yeah, I can take the sell, but I can also look to take the buys if the buys presents. So going to the M15, and it becomes more clear here the explanation. So okay, so okay, so let's recap a little bit here. After this sweep, right, this failed to close here, price failed to close below, we start putting this bullish, right, order flow, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and this for me, because price failed to close below with a body, it was just a weak break. I can't assume this is a strong high, and especially after this bullish order flow, I was assuming this high is going to get run, okay? I know this is Friday price action, but I think it's interesting to go over, and I was assuming that this high is likely to get run, especially not only after the weak break, but after this bullish order flow. After the break of structure here, right, on the M15, what we had after that, price, right, shock bearish on the M15, which indicate that price is putting the complex pullback of this bullish leg, okay? So price was putting the complex pullback, right, of this bullish leg, and I was still, even though you can still take a sell, understand that just a complex pullback from this big leg, and when price taps into this 4-hour POI, we're fine with the M15 POI within that. I was happy to look for longs here, because I'm planning to catch the higher low, right? For me, this M15 shock is just a change of character that indicates price is pulling back, but the real leg still bullish, right? So going to Monday morning today, what I was aware is we have this bullish order flow, right? And when I saw that price last night close below this, I was assuming that, okay, even though I can still look for longs, I have this POI, you can see here, it's swap liquidity, it's a flip, you can argue on, you can definitely see something here on lower time frames if you want to investigate. You have here also this sweep of liquidity, extreme level fractional refinements, I use the wicks. So these are valid POIs to look for longs because M15 is still bullish, okay? But the fact that this low that was making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, start putting it fails, right? Start putting again lower lows, lower highs. At this point in time, I was assuming, and still is, this is a weak low because it failed to take out a high. So we know that for a high or low to be strong, what happens? Price, this low needs to take the high, okay? When we have something like this and price does this, for me the low is weak because it failed to take out the high, okay? So at this point in time, the low here, Monday morning, was weak because it failed, right, to take out the high, and it was visible after this demand fail and supply taking over, okay? So I was not interested in looking for buys from here because I don't want to take buys from weak legs, okay? And yeah, I was expecting this high, and still I'm expecting this low to be run. So there was, after M15 shock, there was an aggressive entry here. I will go over on M1 price action, but the reason why I was not very keen to take it was because I was looking for these two POIs to get involved, and the fact that the low is weak because it failed to take out the high after this demand, right, failing. Yeah, I was not interested in taking this because this change of character can easily be something to mitigate this supply and continue to the downside. So yeah, I'm happy to not take these ones. And when price reached here, I was looking for a sell because I understood that even though price moves to the upside, this is still a weak low, especially now with these equal lows below. So for me, this was a very good indication that probably this move to the upside was used just to form this sell side liquidity is equal host to continue down. So I didn't manage to take any sells from here, but that was my plan. And like you can see on the analysis channel, you also can see that supply, right, still holding. So you can see that this supply chain is still holding, so nothing is confirmed yet. So supply is still in control internally. So after this big rejection, I was looking for M1 sells that didn't materialize, unfortunately. But yeah, that was the plan. And going down to the M1 price action, you can see here I will go quickly about this M1 entry. We have here the sweep, right? This was the same level as M15 change of character, so you can argue that this is our entry. I personally don't want to take this, to be honest, because even though it worked out, yeah, it's not part of my edge. If you use premium versus discount, this in super premium didn't swap liquidity. Yeah, we have no inducement, right? This is a straight push to the upside. Yeah, not something I was interested in getting involved, but it makes sense. So it's good to look back and understand why price push higher. But yeah, I can understand the reason, but I'm personally not interested. When price put this massive rejection, I just look left, right? I justify the rejection. You don't need to necessarily have all these POIs marked on. You just need to, when price starts rejecting, you look left and you justify the reaction, okay? So I saw that the change of character was down here, so it's very far away, which means I personally will not be interested in waiting all the way down to take a trade, because if price comes all the way down, it probably won't go to the to these POIs. So And if it goes, maybe something can change. So I was interested after this, can I say, internal bearish order flow starting to kick in. I used this POI, but price never came. Instead, it reacts something inside these weeks. Then price again breakdown. I was waiting for something around this area, and price never came. And yeah, then it was something I was not interested. But yeah, if you are a little bit more aggressive than me, still makes sense for price to keep moving to the downside. So if we are continue down, it makes sense that this, for example, this entire supply range holds. It makes sense because what if you go to the M15, if you see that this supply failing, if you see this fail, what does it mean? It means that this high, right, failed to take out the low and become weak. So for me, if price will continue down, it's more likely it will continue down from this this supply here, and this range will hold, because otherwise this high becomes weak. So this can happen, and the high can get run. Of course, there are also other possibilities. We can assume the high is weak, right? And then again we have a change of character, demand fail, and we now assume the low is weak. So it can be with a lot of different possibilities, but for me the high probability will be always the longs from here. And if you want to take sells more aggressively, you can take it here, but to be honest, I personally just focus on these ones at the moment. And yeah, if you want to look for buys, I personally would wait for this to get taken out, this internal supply, right, this bearish order flow to change, and yeah, I will be looking for buys. But if, for example, price does something like this again, for me the low becomes weak, and I will not be looking to take buys from here, because at this point in time, after this change of character, right, the low becomes weak. And yeah, something that I also want to talk about is if price goes down here, what we just form, we form this internal breakout structure, right? And this was okay, this internal breakout structure. So which means that if price goes to the downside, to this POI or this POI, it means that we can assume that we have an internal breakout structure, which means this can be an internal protected or strong high. Okay, so even though you are taking buys and it makes sense, manage your expectations, because it also, even though 4 hour can override M15 and 4 hour can indicate price will continue higher, after this internal breakout structure we have a strong M15 high, sorry, and a strong M15 internal high, because it led to this internal breakout structure. So even though you can get involved after this change of character, until this high gets run, we can't assume that this major swing high will be touched. Okay, so price can go all the way up, and if then do something like this, and you have again demand failing, supply holding, we can then assume the low is weak. I know this can be a little bit more difficult for people that are new. Just understand that you are inside a large range. We have weak areas everywhere. It's difficult to get involved. We are during bank holidays. You have a few impact news as well. So it's nothing wrong about not getting trades. Just absorb, just study this price action, because this is when you have to put everything together and understand what can indicate buys, what can indicate sells, and how to manage this position accordingly, understanding all the possible variables that can happen. So yeah, so I personally would not be interested in taking buys at this stage. I prefer to see if you want to take sells. I prefer to wait for price to reach these POIs and take sells, because otherwise, like I said, if you have something like this and this supply fails, I have the indication the high is weak, so you can start taking longs, right? Otherwise, yeah, I'll be looking for longs from here, but understanding that if price goes down, we have a protected internal low, which means even I take buys, I will not put my full TP right here. I will need to manage accordingly, because what can happen is price can put higher prices, mitigate something here on the left, then again give me a change of character and the low becomes weak. So yeah, I don't want to put full TP right here, or full volume, sorry, here. Yeah, I appreciate it's a little bit more complex, but as you can see, we are in the middle of a range, so weak areas everywhere, stick to extremes, avoid price action in the middle if you want to be more conservative and have a high strike rate. But yeah, that's my London recap and a little bit of New York forecast for you guys. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to send a message.